opinions and views expressed in the following program are those of the speakers and the host, and do not necessarily reflect those of Yoakley Scott Corporation and your sports network.
Yeah, I've been closer to Jesus before, so can you help me out? Oh, can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? But can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? Or can you help me out? Can you help me out? I've been scared to look in my soul. I've been afraid I would follow the road. Yeah, afraid of the things I've been told.
Hello, everybody. Welcome inside a Thursday episode of Running Point on ysnlive.com, brought to you by our good friends Greenwood Chevrolet in Austin Town. We are joined today, right off the jump, by head coach of the Liberty Leopards football team, Joe Simon. Coach, we lost your video. You still there? You good? You hear me? Might have some connection issues with Coach Simon. We got you.
I'm working on it. Can you
You
hear
got
me
it?
at all?
I can hear you now. You're much more clear.
Second. Sorry, guys. The Wi-Fi's failing me here.
You're all good. Can you hear me now? So while we try to get those figured out, we'll remind you that today's episode brought to you, as always, Greenwood Chevrolet in Austin Town. We have Liberty Leopards head coach Joe Simon will be joining us today. And then also on today's episode, we'll be featuring a season preview coach's corner with the head coach of the Canfield volleyball team, Kristen Nesbitt. That's coming up on today's episode as well. And then,
Can you guys hear me at all?
yep, I hear you, Coach. Can you hear me?
All right, man. I'm really sorry. I don't know why the Wi-Fi decides to fail me as soon as I call you.
It happens, man. Can you hear me though? You hear me good?
Yeah.
All right, let's roll with this
Try this
before we
again.
lose it again, right?
Anthony, I'll call you right back. I'm sorry, man.
You're all
This
good.
isn't working.
All right, so we'll once again try to get that figured out with Joe Simon, the head coach of the Liberty Leopards, if we have to. We will record that and post it at a later date if that. Wow, what a way to start the show, right? Gled's Gremlins, Anthony's lung capacity, whatever, well, welcome to Thursday. Welcome to live streaming, right? Here we go. But like I said, today we'll also be featuring a Coach's Corner with Kristen Nesbitt, head coach of the Canfield volleyball team. Let's see if we can get Joe Simon back on. We pop him back in.
I think I'm all right now.
Do we have you, Coach?
Yes, sir. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you. All
How are
right.
you? I felt like the guy in those old commercials. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Yeah. Coach, head coach of the Liberty Leopards, Joe Simon, we want to thank you so much for taking the time to join us today.
Yeah, my pleasure, man.
All right, so before we start kind of previewing this year, I want kind of just a quick recap of last year, the lessons that you think the team can take away from last season, especially the players that are returning into your team this year.
Yeah, you know what? Last year was very similar to the year before. Somewhat unfortunately, we started off really slow. We were 0-3. We had a couple blowouts first two games. You know, kind of looking for an identity. And you know, in high school football, when you get behind, you know, momentum can really roll, and a snowball effect just keeps getting bigger and bigger. And you know, we got behind the eight ball a little bit there. We started to play better week 3 against Lakeview, and really turned it around after that. You know, we won, I think, 4 of our last 5 or 5 of our last 6, something along those lines, and finished the season really well. But you know, the last 2 seasons we were 0-4 in 2 years ago, and then we were 0-3 to start last year. So you know, I feel like we have a good idea of who we are, how we want to play on offense and defense. And, you know, a lot of these guys have an understanding of what we want to do, what our game plan is overall. So I think that will help considerably. This is a very senior led team with great leadership. So I really think that'll help put together a really strong year for us.
When you talk about who you are, one of the things we know about Liberty football, always in for a treat, always in for a thriller. You guys excite everybody, you know, whether it be amazing comebacks, whether it be close games down the stretch. I mean, the big question is, like, how's your heart rate as a head coach of this team the last 2 years?
Well, it's funny. I was on Facebook the other day and it showed a picture, you know, looking back to 6 years ago or 5 years ago. I think it was 5. And it was right before I got the job. And all of my hair was dark brown, man. It looked great. And as you can kind of tell, it's gotten a little gray over the last couple of years. But hey, man, it's worth it. I love my job. It's stressful and it wears on me a little bit, but I love it, and I'm looking forward to another year of growing more gray hair.
I think most of that stress comes from the games you guys play. What do you think attributes to the football team's ability to get into really exciting situations, score really quickly, have those high flying plays, make the big comebacks, win down the stretch, things like that? Do you think it's just a fluke thing, or do you think there's something about your team that helps them in those kind of situations?
You know, for one, we have great athletes. You know, there's no getting around that. We have some phenomenal athletes here, and the mindset that they have is not to quit. You know, we've been down 14, 21, 28, and our kids just keep coming because they know we can score in the blink of an eye. And you know, that first year I was here, that happened. First game I ever coached, we were down 12-0 at the half, and everybody was kind of hanging their heads. That was kind of the way that the seasons have been going prior to that. And I said, hey, you know, this isn't us anymore. Okay, we're going to come back. We're going to score some points. We're going to win this game, come together as a team. And we did. We scored 30 unanswered, won the game. And, you know, since that point in time, we've kind of adopted the mentality that, you know, we're never going to give up. We're going to fight. And, you know, I think that's played a big role.
So let's go into the Meet the Team segment of the show where we kind of asked you to talk about your roster, the big names that we have to be aware of in Liberty football this year, and maybe some new faces that will be introduced to us as well.
Yeah, we'll start with some seniors who are returning. You know, the one area that you know it doesn't always get all the headlines and talked about enough is the offense and defensive lines. But I'm starting there because we got pretty much everyone back at offense and defense, so I'm excited about it. Brady Morgan was our best lineman last year. He returns this year. He's about 6'3", 240 pounds, big strong kid, fantastic leader. Just kind of understands when he can have some fun and when he needs to be serious. He's got a great personality too. But he's been great in the weight room, great on the field. He's really an all-around great leader. He'll play offensive tackle and defensive end, but we can move him around up front. But a lot of other guys coming back. Christian Barber at center and on the defensive line. Luciano DiNardo is another returning starter. Justin Nelms and Isaiah Gonzalez, Terrell Blackshear. all those guys are coming back up front. Not to mention Sean Thomas, who was a really good player for us last year on defensive line. So I'd say. Sorry if I lost you there for a second. And, I think a lot of people know the name Dwayne Moody, his younger brother. Our quarterback, and I think he'll do a little bit of both as far as run and pass. He has the dual threat capability. Really looking forward to doing some different things with him to keep offenses off balance. Shamir Franklin was our starting running back last year. He returns along with a guy named Dion Tutwiler. And he's an outstanding athlete. He has breakaway speed, and the overall strength is just unreal. The kid has a lot of athletic ability, so looking forward to that. Having him on the outside. Juju Farrell's a receiver, 6'3", 175 pounds. He's a returning starter. Who am I missing here? Oh, Dermonte Franklin, another senior who will play on both sides of the ball, be a safety for us on defense and a slot receiver on offense. Very talented. And Tayon Sly is probably the other guy who I haven't mentioned yet. 6'2", 170 pounds. Incredible. Hope my connection's staying with you. It's kind of going in and out again because, that's how it works.
We got most of that, Coach. Most of that. A little choppy here and there, but most of it, I think we got the gist of the big names that are going to be on your roster. Want to ask you also about the schedule you put together this year. We'll start with the conference you play in, the MVAC. Always pretty good. What do you expect out of the conference this year, and how do you expect to, make waves in it?
I think the conference runs through Garfield. Them and Brookfield have been the head honchos the last 3-4 years. I think, pretty sure Garfield's won at 3 of the last 4. We've had really good games with them the last few seasons. We had the lead on them 2 years or 3 years ago in the fourth quarter with 2 minutes to go, and they were undefeated and we couldn't hold on. Then last year we were right there with them, and we had a couple miscues on special teams right before half. They scored 21 points in like 2 minutes. But, the conference is good overall. I think Brookfield and Garfield are 2 of the best teams in it on a yearly basis. I think they will be again this year. And, one of our team goals is to compete for a conference title this year. I think that's something that's realistic. But, to make it happen, you got to be consistent. We've been inconsistent a lot over a couple of years. And we need to both changes made and just the personnel that's returning.
Coach, then I want to talk about the non-conference schedule you put together to get ready for that, the first 3 weeks of the season. What teams pop up, and who are you excited to test yourself against?
Still there, Anthony?
Yep, I'm here.
You catch
Asking about the non-conference schedule that you put together this year. Who pops up on it?
Okay. Girard, JFK, and Lakeview, all teams that are formidable. Starting off with JFK, they had a little bit of a down year last year. They don't have many of them at JFK. They've won a state title. They've been to the state title game on multiple occasions. They bring in some guys this year who I don't think many people know about, including us. But we'll find out in the next couple of weeks with scrimmages and film work to see what's back there. And I'm curious to see. That first week is always tough to game plan for because you don't know what you're going to get. They don't know what they're going to get either, so it's pretty equal. But that's always a challenging week to prepare for. Girard, every year is good, and I feel like we've played terrible against them the last 2. That's our arch rival, so it's hurt a little bit worse than some other losses, considering how badly they beat us the last 2 years. So I think we're all itching to get back out there and prove ourselves against Girard. And then Lakeview, I think Lakeview is a team that not many people are talking about that could be really good this year. They're always big and strong, and I know they have a pretty good quarterback who just came there. I think he was at Lakeview, left, came back. Anyway, I think they're going to be a really good team, and I think that's a good matchup for us. I think all those teams are going to be pretty tough, but that makes us ready for the playoffs. It makes us ready for the conference. We're looking forward to all the challenges that are in front of us.
Coach, we can't let this interview pass without talking about your coaching staff and the people that you have put in place to help you run this program. We know you get the interviews, but you don't do it alone. So talk about the people that work behind you and the people that make this program great.
Yeah, I could talk a long time about it because one thing I've learned over the years is you're only as good as the people who surround you. And I got a really great group. I got a couple new guys on staff this year, a couple of guys in some new roles. Mark McGlynn is going to be running the offense, and he's done a fantastic job as far as just getting our guys structured, organized, understanding what we're doing, how we're doing it. And Todd Smith is the defense coordinator, is also our athletic director. He's one of the hardest working guys I've ever been around. So he does a great job overall. And the new guys are Joe Threets from Warren G. Harding and also another Harding guy named Antonio Reed. Both of those guys have been fantastic additions to the staff. They bring a lot of credibility to the kids, to the team, and really provide some discipline that, we really need here. Jason Stouffer, another guy who does a great job for me on offense, and Tony Corso has been, one of the guys who's been with me since I started here, and another really hard worker, great guy for to watch film with and to kind of pick his brain on those things. And Dave Davis. Davis was my coach back in the day, my position coach. She's always gets mad at me when I mention that, but I have to do it. There's a few other guys who are on staff, John Murphy, and I think I got almost everybody. Hopefully I didn't. I probably missed someone. They'll make fun of me when I get back, but that's part of the fun of being on a good staff. You bust each other's chops quite a bit.
Especially the head honcho, right? He's always going to be the target of all the jokes, right?
Absolutely.
Coach, we want to thank you for your time. Wish you the best of luck. Week 1, August 23rd at home against Warren JFK. We know Leopard Nation will be out there in full force. We can't wait to also be there all year broadcasting you guys. And man, we'll talk to you again real soon.
All right, thanks for having me. I apologize for the technological issues. I'll work on that in the future somehow.
Hey, you got it, Coach. Nothing we can do about it, right? We are at the knees and mercy of Wi-Fi always.
For sure. If you need anything else, you let me know, man. Always nice talking to you.
All right, Coach. Thank you again. I was head coach of the Liberty football team, Joe Simon, talking to us about his season and what they expect from the Leopards there. Once again, I want to apologize as well for the technical difficulties. We try to get all these coaches into great, interviews and great atmospheres, but technology, not always on our side. And we got what we needed out of that interview. But some of the kids that I want to talk about, he brought it up. Dwayne Moody, what a great athlete. And he's one of those spark plugs that we were talking about, the Liberty kind of way of playing. This quick strike ability comes from players like that. Comes from Tutwiler, being able to do what he's able to do under center. What a great athlete. Liberty has athletes, coming out of the woodwork in their football program. That's why they're always in games, because they can score so quickly with their speed that they are able to put on the field. They play on this turf that just, aligns with that speed perfectly. So I think, now that they're returning a really good core, especially the core offense and defensive line, which is so important to return and have all those in place, I think they're going to find that consistency they've been looking for the last 2 years. I think they're going to be, I'm not saying 10-0, but I think they're going to be, consistently. We're not going to see the Liberty where we show, they look really good, and then they don't look good. Then they look really good, and they don't look good. I think we're going to see a consistent Liberty team that's always in games, always putting out their good effort, and they have a chance to really make a statement with the non-conference schedule they put together. Imagine if the first 3 games going into conference, you beat Warren JFK, you beat Girard and Lakeview. That would be a big eye-opener for a lot of people if Liberty was able to open the season in that way in the first 3 weeks of the year. I'm just saying, could be one of those years. Leopards are never out of the game. So Cardiac Cats, that's what we love about it. We want to thank Joe Simon again for his time coming on and being on the show. So with that being said, one of the things we have to do before we transition into the next Coach's Corner, we have to remind everybody that we have an update on the schedule down in Greenville, North Carolina for the Austintown Little League softball team going for a World Series championship. They were supposed to play today at 5 originally, but we have seen rain come in North Carolina thanks to Hurricane Debbie bringing in that front into North Carolina. So the rain has forced the schedule to change. Austintown now set to play the Southwest representative tomorrow at 1 o'clock. The network they're going to be on has yet to be determined. The TV's crew is probably going nuts trying to figure out how they're going to operate all this because they had a very strict schedule put in line. They were going to be on ESPN. They were going to be on ABC. ABC especially, your network TV, you have a very unforgiving schedule. ESPN can always put stuff on their streaming networks, but if ABC, who already sold a lot of advertising on Little League World Series, and they have to try to make sure they can get that game in, but they also have the responsibilities that they have to their network schedule. So going to be very interesting to see how that all shakes out. Hopefully we still get Little League World Series games on ABC because that's a big moment for our sport. Indeed, to be able to say, hey, we have games on ABC on network television. So we will stay up to that, but we know what time, which is the most important thing. Tomorrow, 1 o'clock, Austintown Little League playing against Southwest in the Little League World Series. So we will look forward to that. The other unfortunate thing is that the professional games got rained out. So the teams were not able to sit and watch the best players in the country do their thing, but the good aspect of that is they were still able to spend a whole day and a half or so with those players and learning from them and interacting with them and just having fun with them. If you go look on Little League social media and Athletes Unlimited social media, you'll see clips and highlights of just the letting their guard down a little bit, having fun with these players that they look up to. There's no other league like that. Like, you're never going to be able to go into an MLB city and just be like, well, we want to go play dodgeball with our MLB players that we've looked up to for years. Softball players right now have they're in a spot of the sport that is very fortuitous for growing it, where it's big enough that all these players know all these big names and look up to these big names, but it's also not so big where it's inaccessible, where they can't learn and see the people they look up to and meet the people they look up to. It is right now still really easy to meet these players that are big names in softball. Whether you meeting them when they're professionals, you go to one of their college games, get an autograph after the game. It is pretty easy to meet the people you look up to in softball right now. And for baseball players, not so much. You're not really accessible for the MLB players. You can't just go to Cleveland and meet Jose Ramirez, and if you do, it's hey, how you doing? There's your autograph. I'll see you. Unless you get into one of those really special moments where you get more than just the autograph from a player like that. It's a lot easier for softball players to kind of get interaction with their role models right now, which is awesome, which is what we want. We want this sport to grow, and that's one of the big ways that we do it. And even though they weren't able to actually physically watch them play games, they were still able to interact with them, which is really, really cool. So once again, Austintown Little League playing tomorrow at 1 o'clock now, not today at 5. We're going to be following them, and we will have the recap for that game on our website as always. We are going to take a commercial break here on Running Point. When we come back, we have a coach's corner on the volleyball side of things. Krista Nesbitt, the head coach of the Canfield Cardinals, in her third year at the helm at Canfield, comes on to preview their season and see what they have going on in Canfield. Very young squad, bringing back a lot of talent. Can't wait to hear it next on Running Point. Brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown.
21 News delivers the news as it happens, using the latest technology from where it happens.
Live here outside the Mahoney County.
On air, online,
Wednesday afternoon weather update.
Very dangerous.
and on the 21 News social media platforms.
I'm on the road right now.
21 News, the Valley's only locally owned source for trusted news since 1953.
Craftsmanship to us is 60 years of pride and dedication.
Passed down from generation to generation.
The hardwood floors that your kids take their first steps on.
The solid wood doors you quietly close at night.
The things we create day in and day out are the products that end up turning your house into a home.
At Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods, uncompromising quality and craftsmanship built our business.
And it will keep us moving forward for generations to come.
Going the extra mile at Greenwood Chevrolet means we want to take care of the community that takes care of us too.
And we have to work together always. And that's how you stay in business for 40 years.
You know, I love being a helper because when I help somebody, it makes me feel good.
It means a lot that I can make a difference in others' lives.
So I will do everything I can and just being there for them every step of the way.
I want them to know within the first 5 minutes that they could depend on me. That's what going the extra mile means, only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
Before the lights come on, before the workday begins, before a long day is ended, or it's time to have fun. It all starts with the people at Joe Dickey Electric. From replacing a light fixture in your home to building a substation for your business, no job is too big or too small. The people of Joe Dickey Electric power them all. Joe Dickey Electric, over 60 years of powering the Mahoning Valley.
Welcome back to Running Point on ysnlive.com, brought to you by our good friends that you heard from during that commercial break, Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. They go the extra mile for you. We try to do the same here on this show every single day by bringing you to the doorstep of the great communities that we cover here on YSN, the families, the coaches, the players on YSN. We try to highlight them all on Running Point every day, and we will continue to do that. We can't do it, though, without the great support of our good friends over at Greenwood. So if you are in the market for a new or used vehicle, make sure to check out Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. They'll take care of you. Or if you need some inspections on your vehicle as well, they have a great shop in their dealership that they're able to take care of your already existing vehicle as well. So make sure to check them out. They'll take care of you, and they will definitely go the extra mile for you. We are continuing our fall sports previews here today. We heard from Joe Simon, the head coach of the Liberty football team, live at the top of the show. And now we go and hear a coach's corner with Krista Nesbitt, the head coach of the Canfield volleyball team, to round out our fall previews for the day. Anthony Hartwig here with a Canfield volleyball season preview, Coach's Corner, Episode 1. Krista Nesbitt back again for another year with the Cardinals. Coach, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today.
Thank you for having me.
We are so excited for Canfield volleyball. Can't wait to talk about it. But before we do, let's have a little bit of a recap from last year, things that you think you yourself learned about your team, and maybe some lessons that you hope the returning players bring into this year as well.
Yeah, so last year we lost 3 seniors, and then besides those 3, everyone else is returning this year, which we're really excited about. I feel like everyone in our team would agree, as coaches and as players, that we fell a little short of some of our expectations that we had, and it kind of has given us the momentum and the motivation this off season to really get in the gym, get a lot of work in, get stronger, get faster, get quicker, get more skills. And I'm feeling really, really good about where we're at now, heading into the preseason scrimmages and then ultimately our first game in just over a week.
What were some difference makers that you think that formed the lower expectation or not making expectation last year that you hope to see corrected this year?
I mean, a lot of things based on skill, siding out, being more aggressive, things like that. But overall, just our team chemistry has really, really improved. The girls are working really well together. They're being great teammates. We're trusting each other more on the court. And we're really emphasizing that drive to win and compete. And I think doing those things and having a year of experience, all of our girls coming back have a lot of experience, have played in that level at that speed. I think we're ready to go for this upcoming season.
So let's talk about this season. We'll start with a kind of a meet the team segment, go through your roster, the big names that we're going to know and hear from Canfield, and maybe some new faces that we might see this year on the varsity level as well.
Yeah. So I have 3 seniors, Cameron Zenko, who will be an outside right side back row player for me. Lauren Mizak, another returner, outside right side back row player for me. And then Meredith Ross, who is a middle for me. So all 3 of those girls have been playing for me the last few years. Great leaders, great teammates, have set kind of the tone for this season. So I'm excited to watch them in their senior year. I have 3 juniors that'll be contributing to varsity. Leah Solly, who is just a dominant force on the right side, on the outside. Carly Fleming, who is actually moving this year to become our libero. And then Lydia Dorenzo, who will be a nice little utility player for us, brings a lot of great energy. And then I'm returning a lot of sophomores again this year. So Vivian Byro will be our setter. Ashton Hanusak is our outside. Again, maybe some right side back row. Really dominant player. Lily Weaver, dominant player in the middle. Peyton China will be getting a lot of varsity experience this year as well as a back row player. And then I have Michaela Brown returning again this year as a middle right side for me. Also on top of that, we have 16 freshmen in our program this year. And I'm really, really excited about that. There's a lot of talent there. I'll have 2 of those freshmen pulled up with me, getting a little bit of experience as well.
16 freshmen. That's a big number. How exciting is it to see so much youth come up in the program?
It's one of my favorite things to see. Our 7th and 8th grade both have 15 and very talented. Our freshmen now with 16 of them, and all of them can play. And it's just brought such a competitiveness to our practice. We have depth. We have great competition. We have girls that are pushing and challenging each other. Overall, it's just so exciting to see the program as a whole just getting stronger and stronger.
All right, let's talk about the schedule that you guys always put together. It's a tough one always. We'll start with the league, the AAC, small but mighty. A lot of tough teams in that AAC, Boardman, Howland, Fitch, the YSN teams. Then don't forget about Warren Harding in there as well. What do you kind of expect out of the league this year? What are some expectations for yourselves in the conference as well?
One great thing about our schedule is that we don't have any easy games. And then in contrast, that is one of the most challenging parts, is that we don't have any of those easy feel-good games. Starting with our league games, every one of those games, we know we have to show up ready to go, ready to play. I know my girls are really looking for that AAC title, and those are our big rivals, the Hallands, the Fitches, the Boardmen. And those are games that we know we're preparing for right now. But on top of our league games, we really don't have any other easy games outside of the league either. We play Ursuline, who took us out of the tournament last year. That's one of our first games of the season. We play Lakeview, who we lost to last year. We play Perry. We're up at Firestone for 2 different tournament type situations where we could see Barberton and Walsh Jesuit and North Olmsted. So there's a lot of teams that we're going to see that we feel is really going to prepare us moving into tournament. But like I said, there's no easy games in that mix.
You brought up Ursuline, the team that did knock you out of the tournament last year. I mean, does that put a little fire in this team's belly to try to, avenge last year's loss and play the team that knocked them out last year?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, that is one that we are looking forward to. That is one that is on a little timeline we have in our locker room that says the team who took us out of tournament last year. And we have that date and we're ready to go. So looking forward to a rematch against them. I know they're going to bring it. I know they have a lot of girls, but we're really excited to see what we can do on our side.
You've had enough time with this program now to really establish the culture, what you want out of the volleyball program and what you want out of the philosophy. How much of an advantage have you seen this year, knowing that you don't have to spend time trying to introduce, your expectations or what you want out of the culture anymore? Everyone kind of understands it through the program, whether it be youth to varsity, what you want can fill the debate.
Last year I had so many new girls coming in that were playing up, and we really pushed that trust each other, build a team. And this year I have seen all of my returners really buy into that and set the tone for these 16 incoming freshmen. And there's no question what our culture is like because of how the older girls and how the returners have set that stage. So it's really nice. They know, they are great teammates. They help each other out. They get on each other's case. They challenge each other. They push each other. And our big theme this year is trust. And we're going to trust each other on the court. We're going to trust the process. We're going to trust the coaches. And by doing that, we think really good things are going to come out of it.
Normally, we wouldn't even broach the topic of tournaments yet. It's way too soon. But with the realignments and everything that went on with every sport that's not named football, it has affected everyone. You might see teams that you might not normally see in your division, things like that. What kind of things are exciting about kind of the realignment and maybe doors opening a little bit for this volleyball team to make deep runs in the tournament?
Yeah, so we have big goals and big expectations, and that is something that, we're already looking forward to, that tournament time and knowing that we can do some really great things. Now, we dropped to Division 3. We are on the smaller side of Division 3, so we are about 5 girls away from being D4. For us, though, it's just another great opportunity. We're going to prepare ourselves all season. We've prepared all summer to play the best of the best, and that's what we expect to do. And we know we're going to have to do if we want to go on a nice run in tournament, is you're going to have to beat some really great teams.
Not too long ago, you were the smallest team in Division 1, so we're used to Canfield being that small but mighty team in the tournament, so we can't wait for that. Coach, before we let you go, we want you to highlight your coaching staff. We know that you couldn't do any of the great things that you do with Canfield alone. I want you to talk about the people you have working with you this year and the people that make this program great.
Yeah, a huge thank you to my coaching staff because I really couldn't do it without them. So I did have a lot of changes this year on our coaching staff. So my JV coach is Carrie Wyan. She was in the 8th grade coach for me last year. I have a new freshman coach this year, Bailey Reardon. 8th grade coach is Trina Cackley, and then 7th grade coach is Bree Fischel, who's returning again this year. So really excited, a lot of great ideas. We've met many times. We're all on the same page about, our goals and expectations for our girls, but it's been really great to kind of hear some different perspectives and opinions. And so I'm really excited about it.
What's it been like, building a new, not brand new coaching staff, but a lot of new faces, like you said, coming up, and like you also said, just trying to pick brains of different philosophies and different mindsets. What's that been like for you?
It's fun and challenging at the same time, but over the course of the summer, we've really gotten to know each other and work together. And I know, okay, this is her strength, so I'm going to let her take the passers on this, and I'll take the setters. And it's been great for us to kind of work together in different ways to help our girls. And I'm feeling really, really good about everything that my coaches can contribute to our program.
All right, give a shout out to the Canfield community. When is the first time that the fans can come and see the Lady Cardinals play? And then when's your first home game too?
Yeah, so our first game, we have a lot of Saturday try and quad matches. So our first game is Saturday, August 17th. That's at Firestone High School. If anyone makes the drive out there, we play at 9 and 10 a.m. And then the following Saturday, we play at Ursuline. So we have a lot of away games this year. But then we'll be back home following that up in, let me make sure I say this, on September 3rd against Howland. That is a home game. That's a league game for us. So we're hoping to get some really good crowds there, get a lot of people in attendance. We have 7 home games this year, so we're going to try to make all 7 of those count.
No better way to get people excited than a home opener being a league game. So we can't wait to see you out there, Coach. We wish you the best of luck this year, and we'll talk to you again real soon.
Thank you so much. It was good talking with you.
Coach Nesbitt from Canfield, her coach's corner, her season preview there. Crazy to think that Canfield volleyball only with 7 home games this year. They only had 6 last year, so I guess it's a step up. But when you got 22 games to fill and you're going on the road for 15 of them, that's tough. And then you think out of those 7 games, 4 of them are, AAC games. They're conference games. Howland, Fitch, Boardman, Warren Harding will all be coming to Canfield. You start to think, well, that means only 3 teams outside of their conference are coming to Canfield to play. One thing that'll do for this team, though, as much as we're sitting here saying, oh, that's tough. That's a tough break. You don't want to play away from home from so much, but odds are eventually, well, actually not even odds. It is established truth that eventually you will have to travel somewhere to play tournament games, right? You're going to have to probably go to someone's place eventually in districts or in regionals. You'll have to go somewhere. You'll have to be in those environments that are not home. And Canfield, more than most, will have that experience of, hey, we didn't play a lot from home, so we're good. We're good playing on the road. We're fine with it. We didn't really get a lot of home games. So They will definitely make the most of the ones they have, the 7 home games they do have this year. But they will also be gaining a lot of the road experience, being road warriors on what 15 out of the 22 of the games that they have being on the road. That's crazy. It's they won't be at home until September 3rd. That means the first you could say 2 weeks of the season are all going to be on the road for Canfield to open up, especially with that try match they have to open up the season on I believe Saturday the 17th. So going to be a fun time covering Canfield volleyball this year. I think they have a lot to look forward to. There was a lot of young mistakes last year, especially when you look at, I think the big number to look at that's going to improve this year is their team hitting percentage. They had a lot of hitting errors from young hitters that were just trying to hit the ball a little bit too hard, not having enough finesse or control with their powerful arm swings. But the good news is if you get control of it, it's a really hard hit. And when you saw them have control of their swings, their young hitters were very good at putting the ball down. They just got to get a little bit more consistent. They can't have these matches like they did last year with 30 plus errors, whether they be hitting errors or serving errors. You can't give teams free points. And I think one of the big components that Kristen Nesbitt actually talked about in that interview that will pay dividends for Canfield going down the line is the team chemistry they have. Team chemistry can get you out of those big ruts that turn one error into multiple errors, right? If you have good team chemistry and you believe that your team is behind your back, then you don't panic when you make an error. And then because of that, the next play, you can just forget it and make the next play. But on the flip side, if you don't have good team chemistry and you don't trust the people you're playing with and you kind of aren't logged in, you make that one mistake and then you feel like you have to go out there and do it all yourself. And then that leads to more mistakes. And then you get into a match where you're making 15, 16, 17 hitting errors. And you're sitting there wondering, well, how did this snowball so fast? Well, believe it or not, team chemistry will help out a lot with that. So Kristen Nesbitt says team chemistry a lot better this year. We've locked down on that. We've been able to make sure that these girls like each other, trust each other, know that they have each other's back on the court, especially for volleyball where communication is so important. That's going to be a big thing for Canfield going forward. And then you look at the AAC. Fitch is going to be probably the quote-unquote preseason favorite. They have their Kylie Folkwine back. They have Riley Simons, who's the most important setter in the area, back. They're going to be your favorite, but they did lose some big pieces. They lost Jordan Smith, lost Afton Roby. No more middle blocker out there that's the main middle blocker. So there are a little bit of openings for Canfield to maybe be that team that can come away with an AAC championship. So the door, it's still in Fitch's court. I think Fitch is still the favorite, especially until someone beats them. Someone's got to go and prove that they aren't before we take that title away from them. But you can see the door open a little bit. You can see a team like Canfield being able to come in and reinvigorate that rivalry. A couple years ago when they had Abby Householder, that Fitch-Canfield rivalry was real. Right? They were splitting games. They were going 5 sets. That was like legitimate. That was, okay, this Canfield team, this Fitch team, 1, not huge fans of each other, and then 2, just really evenly matched in the volleyball court, made for great rivalries. Last year, not so much, pretty much Fitch's roost. Now we'll come into this year. What can Canfield do to change that storyline and put themselves back into that rivalry between the Falcons and Cardinals? Don't want to forget about Boardman and Howland, of course, in the volleyball world, and then Warren Harding, but not a YSN team, but we won't forget about them either. They'll have fine volleyball teams. Howland has a really, really good core of hitters. Boardman, strong, setting, defense. I think they're going to be a defensive team, really going to be hard to get the ball down on their back row. Their hitters are going to be a little bit question mark, I think, but they have setting. So defense and setting is going to be top-notch for Boardman. We'll see what they bring to the table with their hitters. MC Worth, I almost said MC Hammer just off of brain, just knowing MC. MC Worth graduated. She was one of their big boppers last year. So we'll see what they bring to the table as far as hitting this year, but their setting and defense is going to be fine. So AAC is going to be really fun to watch. Canfield was our first season preview from that. Well, actually, I should say second, because we have Casey Herberger with Ty Bartel, which will feature on the show here soon. But we still have to preview Howland and Boardman, which we will in the coming future. We have a lot of teams to get to still. Don't worry, we are working diligently to get to as many as possible before the season starts. So stay tuned to Running Point and YSN social media and website to see more season previews come out for volleyball and football season as we continue to truck along towards day one. We have golf already starting, by the way. You can find golf recaps on our website. Last night we saw Beaver Local come away with a big win. They're starting off hot. They were able to beat Springfield. We have a recap from the United boys being able to get a win. Middle Ridge won their third in a row on the girls' side last night. That is the biggest win streak that girls' program has ever had. So that Middle Ridge program right now, just breaking records. They broke the 18-hole record. They have Savannah Turek breaking the round record a couple of days ago. They have now the biggest win streak they've ever had. I know it's a fairly new program in Middle Ridge, but they're just taking big steps in Ram country down there on the golf course. So a lot of good things happening. Make sure to stay tuned to YSN. Make sure to see these recaps, see these coaches' corners keep popping up, and we will be back tomorrow with more on Running Point, brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. Want to thank you all for tuning in. That'll do it for today's show. We will be back tomorrow from 1 to 2, as always, with more season previews for you in store on a Friday. And until then, have a great weekend, and we will see you all tomorrow.